Welcome, it's Jennifer McGuire. I hope you're having a great week. Well, today I wanted to share with you a few different options for creating simple and quick shaker cards. Now, I know shaker cards aren't for everyone, but there are a few options in here, so I'm hoping one will appeal to you, and they're all fast to do. I also am going to show you how I altered a stamp image so that it better suited my needs. Hopefully that will inspire you also to do the same. So let's get started with the stamping. I'll be using the Mama Elephant stamp set called the Cat's Meow. This is an adorable stamp set, and that says a lot coming from somebody who is very highly allergic to cats. So we'll be using this today, but making a little modification to it. I'm also using the new Celebration balloons from Mama Elephant. This stamp set is fantastic to use with any critter stamps you may have. You can have them hold up the message in the balloons. I think that's so much fun. And I'm also going to be using the Mama Elephant framed tags die set. I'm going to use this frame to create our very quick and easy shaker windows. So those are the products I'll be using. Let's start with the stamping. Now this is a long cat image, so it's a little bit longer than our card, so it covers the entire side of it. So I'm using my Misty Creative Corners so that I can kind of float my white panel of cardstock so that the stamp can hang off 3 of the sides. So I find these creative corners very helpful when you have a really large image like this that you want to hang off your card. So I'm using my bar magnet to hold it in place. And I'm going to ink it up with Hero Arts black dye ink. And this is Nina 110 pound cardstock. And I'm going to stamp that very firmly on there. And you can see how these kitties cover up the entire bottom of a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card. However, I wanted to change one of these cats to be a dog because all of my crafty friends are cat people, and I'm a dog person because I'm so allergic to cats. So I feel like the lone dog person in a sea of cat people. So this is going to be the lone puppy in a sea of kitties. So if you look, I'm kind of looking from the side and inking up only part of my stamp. I'm actually inking up as many of the kitties as I can except one. So sorry my head gets in the way here. But you'll see when I stamp this onto the white cardstock that everything but one kitty is inked. And I'm going to change that one cat to be a dog. Now, I could have stamped this and drawn a dog in behind it, but he kind of stuck up a little bit too much. I wanted him to blend in. So that's why I left one of the cats uninked. Before I draw him in, I'm going to save some time by using the coordinating die for this Cat's Meow stamp set. So I'm just going to tape it in place and run it through my die cut machine, and that'll do a simple cut around it. You could do that by hand if you want to. Now, I will be honest, I can't draw at all. So if I can do this, I assure you, you can too. I'm just using a pencil and I erased 5 million times, but I end up with a cute little dog peeking out of the back there. Now he's not the best. I can't draw like Christina Werner. I try, but I tell you, it's a far cry, but I think it worked good enough. Once I was happy with it in pencil, I'm just tracing over it with a black pen. I like to use a really fine black pen and then go over it a few times so that I can kind of make it look how I want it to look in the end. So once that's dry, I can go ahead and erase the pencil lines. And there we have my cute little dog, Foxy, peeking out from a sea of cats. So I went on to stamp more of these cat images and also the balloon images from the Celebration balloon stamp set. I took those pieces along with my Copic markers to a baseball game, and I did some coloring while I was there. I didn't do anything fancy. For some of the cats, like this example that you see here, I just colored them with Copics and did no shading at all. But then I did some with a bit of shading. I also did some of the cats in the rainbow colorful look, and then some in a more traditional look. And you'll see those cards throughout this video. I do list below all the Copic markers that I use, but nothing was fancy. I'm not great with Copic markers, so I thought I would skip that part today and just focus on the shaker options. So the first option I wanted to share is a no bulk, very quick shaker window. This is how I usually end up doing shaker windows. So I'm starting with a Mama Elephant frame die cut. I cut this from 110 pound white cardstock because I wanted it to be nice and thick. I also have a white note card that's 4 1/4 by 5.5. Now for the acetate window on this shaker card option, I cut a piece from this Hero Arts note card. So from one note card, I actually get 2 pieces, and these are cut slightly smaller than the outside edge of our die cut frame. Now that I have all my pieces together, we can go ahead and put the card together. This is very fast. So I have my acetate here, and right along the outside edge, I'm going to line it with some strong double-sided adhesive. I really like the Be Creative tape. It's strong and easy to peel off the release paper. So I have my acetate window ready with adhesive around the edge. Now I'm adding some sequins to the center of my note card. I'm just trying to keep them towards the center. I'm using Studio Cadia Majestic Fusion sequins and some pretty pink posh iridescent stars. Now I'm going to lay my little acetate window adhesive side down right over this and just press it around. And there we have our sequins trapped inside. Now there is no bulk to this. I'm not using foam tape, so they don't move as freely as a traditional shaker card where you have that foam tape. I'll cover that a little later in the video, but I actually like that they're more pressed down because they can't move as much, so there's always some sequins in view. Now I'm putting some strong double-sided tape again around the outside edge of my frame on the back side, and I am putting the kitties right behind that and trimming the little excess off the side. I want these cats to be in front of the shaker window. The other option was to put them behind the shaker window, but then all the sequins would fall over their faces, and I wanted them to fall behind them instead. So now I can take this piece and glue it right over our little shaker window, and we're good to go. So there you can see the sequins are towards the top and the bottom. They can move around freely in there. So when you tilt it down, some of them fall. When you tilt it up, some of them come back up. But some always stay in the top since we did not use any foam tape. It kind of holds some of them there. I really like this option because there's so little bulk to this. I'm now adding my Hooray balloon sentiment to kind of overlap with the frame. And then I wanted to stamp the group hug sentiment from the Mama Elephant's Girlfriend stamp set. This is a great stamp set. The group hugs and squad goals are so much fun. It's perfect for my cat friends that I can send this card to. I also used a black Sharpie and a T-roller to draw the strings to attach the balloons to the kitties. So I just drew right onto the acetate window. And then I glued the group hugs little sentiment strip right onto the acetate window also. So again, this option is a very quick one to put together. There's very little bulk to it, and you can see the sequins do move around, but are kind of held in place so they don't fall completely to the bottom. This is the shaker card option that I've been using the most in the past. Okay, so number 2 is a no bulk with a little bit less movement. Again, I like my sequins to stay in view. I don't want them to fall completely down. So this one's very similar to the last one, but there's one little change that I did. So I have my pieces ready here. Before I put my shaker card together, I'm using some strong Ranger Multi-Medium matte finish adhesive to put little dots of adhesive towards the top of my shaker window. I'm using some sequins here to add into that adhesive so that I have some sequins stuck in place. These will stay here. Then when we build our shaker window around this, these sequins will never fall to the bottom. Also, some of the other sequins will kind of get caught up on it, so you can be sure that the sequins will always be in view. So there will always be some towards the top of your card, and they don't all fall down. Now for this card, I actually did one other thing to keep the sequins towards the top. I put some strong double-sided tape around the outside edge of our acetate window, but I also put one across the bottom there, the one that I just removed there. That one is kind of keeping all the sequins above the cat's head. So you'll see it's going to be protected or hidden by the cats, but it'll keep them towards the top. So now I'm putting some loose sequins towards that top area where my shaker window will be once again. But remember, some of them are glued in place, so they won't all move freely around. And because we put that extra piece of adhesive towards the center, that's going to really keep them in place more. So this option actually has the least amount of movement of any of them. However, they all stay up there and it looks like a party all the time. So it is another option that sometimes might work best for you. The rest of the card is the same as the first one. I did create an envelope to match it, and I added that group hug sentiment off to the side. I really like the shine of this, that you see that acetate and all the sequins inside. Now I thought I'd next, for my third option, share a traditional shaker card. This one has a bit of dimension, and the sequins can move around freely and shake like crazy. Now this option is still pretty quick to make, but it does have that dimension. This one I'm using the more traditional colored kitties and dog, and I used a craft cardstock frame. Now I'm putting some strong double-sided tape on the back of this frame and the cats, and I'm going to lay my acetate piece right on top of it. So I'm just going to kind of create the window first. This has just seemed to be the best method for me to do this way. Now I'm going to take my craft foam tape and I'm going to cut it right down the center so that it's narrow. And I'm going to run this right around the outside of my frame. I'm also putting a piece right below the cat's heads so that the sequins can't fall down behind them. Next, I'm going to use that strong adhesive to add some sequins that will hold in place floating above the animal's head. Again, I really think this makes a big difference when creating any kind of shaker card, especially one with dimension. Doing the shaker card this way with the foam tape allows the sequins to move like crazy. And if you don't hold some of them in place, they're all going to fall down. So when you hold the card up, you won't see most of them. So now that my sequin adhesive has dried there, I'm piling some more loose ones up on top of it and adding our window to the front. So you can see here that they all move freely except for the few that we glued in place and the ones that get caught up on it. This is really the best way to do a shaker card if you want a lot of movement. So that's the more traditional way of doing so. So my fourth option is to use tulle instead of acetate, and I've shown this in a few videos lately, and I'll link to them here. This option's nice because some people get frustrated with the static on acetate, and there's very little bulk, and it's very inexpensive. So for this, you do the same thing, creating the frame with the cats and putting strong double-sided tape on the back of it. After I've removed the release paper, I can lay a piece of inexpensive white tulle across it. This is just like a thin netting, very inexpensive. You can buy a big roll of it for nothing at a craft store. And I'm going to press it into the adhesive and then trim off any of the excess. This works great for holding sequins in place, and it allows it to move quite freely. I wouldn't suggest this option with glitter because it'll just go right through the holes in the tulle. So now I can place some sequins towards the top of the card and then add my frame right on top of that. Now honestly, I don't glue any of the sequins in place when I do this option because I find the tulle kind of keeps them more in place than doing a traditional shaker card. So I find this works just fine. Can lay my piece right on top. Just make sure all your little bits are towards the center here. And there we have a shaker card using tulle. The sequins are able to move nicely in here, and there's no bulk with this. So it's just another fun option. I actually like the tulle on more elegant cards too. It kind of adds to the feel of an elegant card, but it worked here also. So there you can see all the sequins moving around towards the top. And this one I decided to skip the balloons just for something different. Definitely sending this to one of my cat crafty friends. Okay, and the fifth option is to completely fake it. If shaker cards aren't for you, who says you need to use one? Instead, you could just glue sequins so they look like they're floating in the air. Nothing fancy here. I arranged the frame and the cat the same way. I didn't use any acetate or tulle for this. I just glued some star sequins to the background and left it at that. These are all very simple, obvious shaker card options, but I wanted to pull them all together in one video. Before we go, I wanted to show you a few other details that I did to these cards. This is one of the biggest things that I like to do, and that is to use my black glaze pen to darken the eyes and some of the noses of our little critters. This makes a huge difference in person. It makes them shiny and adds a tad bit of dimension. If you look at the blue and yellow cat and also the dog here, you can see the difference, how their eyes and nose stands out. That's thanks to that black glaze pen. I also like to coat the balloons with some Wink of Stella shimmer. This adds a little bit of shimmer to it, and then a layer of glossy accents on top of that. That gives you some shimmer and some shine that make those balloons look super realistic in person. This makes such a big difference. All three of these things are inexpensive products that really kind of add so much to your card. Next, I thought I would make my envelopes match since I have all my supplies out anyways. So I'm using my Misty with a creative corner to stamp the Cat's Meow cat image along the flap of the envelope. So I have my envelope open here, and I'm just going to stamp it with black ink right onto the flap. So you could stamp this towards the bottom of the envelope or on the front of the envelope, but I think it looks so cute there on the flap. So I used craft envelopes for my brown cards, and I used teal colored envelopes for my colorful cards. So there are a few options for shaker cards and also an idea for altering a stamp image to better suit your needs. If you're interested in these supplies, I do link them below in my YouTube description, but go over to my blog. I'll have much more information for you there. In the middle are some other videos that might be of interest to you, and I hope you'll return again soon. Have a great week.